Photocopy and photocopier examination. The case of typewritten documents, photocopied documents may contain elements likely to identify the source of the original document, the model machine that was employed in its manufacture, or the specific machine if one has been identified. What can be determined from copy machine identification? Ito po yung mga kailangan nating hanapin o alamin sa copy machine identification. Meron pong apat na yon. First is identify specific copy machine that produce a photocopy. Kailangan daw alamin ang specific copy machine na nagpo-produce ng photocopy. And the second is trace the copy machine that produce or color photocopy. Third is identify the photocopy process used to make a photocopy. And last is determine if two photocopies were produced on the same photocopy. Yun daw ay kailangan alamin kung ang dalawang photocopies ay napuproduce ng parehas na photocopy machine. Photocopier identification. Most modern day photocopying machine operate in more or less similar fashion. The image of the documents be captured by camera lens transformed in cylindrical drum, usually coated with a light. Ngayong daw modern yung panahon, ang photocopy machine daw ay nag-ooperates ng more or less similar fashion. Ang image of the documents na to be copied daw ay nagka-capture na lang sa camera lens at na-transfer to sa cylindrical drum. Usually coated with a light-sensitive substance such as selenium. This drum must be charged with a static electric charge which dissipates when exposed to light. The image of the documents transferred to the drum is made of a light and dark areas and create a similar or corresponding areas or more or less static cliatic on the drum. The drum is batted with a toner. This be dry or wet form depending upon the specific machine. Toner has inherent infinitely for static electricity and those areas of the drum in quantities proportional to the electrostatic charge. This toner in turn is transformed a piece of paper that then be subjected to a process usually in the form fuses and attach the toner to the paper. Different of machine as well as different models within a manufacturing line may leave a behind on the photocopy characteristics that are specific to that make and model such as grabber marks, paper edge depressions, designs incorporated into the paper type and type. Paper is pulled through a photocopying machine by marks made by the grabbers are transferred to the paper. There may be in the form of a small depressions at the edge of the paper or areas of the tonerless spot. To be finished photocopied documents identified of design incorporated into specialized for a specific machine, paper type and toner type. In question point is a specific make and model. These characteristics are noted and then searched through the reference files, at times highly definitive opinions as to make model possible. This database of reference materials must continually be updated because of the short life of most photocopier models and almost introduction of new models and technology. Obviously, if the question photocopy is a second, third or more generation removed from the original document, and two or more different photocopy machines have been used in its lineage, the examination is more difficult and definitiveness of the optional greatly lessened. Today's photocopying equipment has provided a fast and inexpensive means of copying document. Ngayon daw, ang photocopying equipment ay nagpo-provide ng mas mabilis at hindi magastos na copying documents. It is used to be easier to identify and classify photocopiers by copying process. Ito daw ay ginagamit upang mapadali ang pag-identify at classify ng photocopier sa pamamagitan ng copying process. Some of these are thermographic transfer, electrostatic, gelatin transfer process, and diffusion transfer. Or you could search of various trash marks and other peculiarities characteristics of the reproducing and transport mechanism. Today, a dry photocopy system provides different and often more difficult problems to the question document examiner. The direct electrostatic process has continually been refined as of its quality control standards, which leave fewer individual peculiarities in the copied document. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police Forensics Laboratory has discovered particular types of Ebler printers. Ang Royal Canadian daw na sa Police Forensic Laboratory ay nakadiscover ng particular types of Ebler printers. Ito ay matrix, inkjet, and the thermal color. Particular and distinguishing characteristic that matrix color printers at the shape of the fin cross section. The Royal Canadian Forensics Laboratory has discovered that color printers, dot matrix, inkjet, and thermal color and distinguishing characteristic. Dot matrix color at the shape of the fin cross-section, the diameters of fins, the impressions they produce, the distance between adjacent fin center, mode, the type of ribbon process, broken damage, and their associated characteristics. Ribbon misalignment problems and related features, smearing of impressions on the paper surface, and the effects of color banding. Inkjet color printers differ by the type used. Water oil-based plastic, the presence of ink spatter, evidence of dragging, and the presence of gaps in the areas that should be solid. Thermal transfer color printers share evidence of burnout of the thermal elements in the print head, the effect of faulty ribbon advance mechanism, and the presence of banding. Some of the relate to the features observed in one color printers. The only exception some of the discussed concerning color printers also are those elements pertaining to revert and ribbon shift mechanism.
Photocopy to photocopy examination. Question: photocopies may be examined visually for and other extraneous marks on the surface of the drum. Cover, glass characteristics, trash marks that may be made because of thin scratches. Photocopy machine. A comparison of this camera lens of a photocopy machine will serve to identify or eliminate the particular machine, such as on the question document, with those marks made by a specific source of document in question. Similarly, a side-by-side comparison of two or more question photocopies may reveal if they are the product of a common photocopy machine. As in photocopier identification, multiple generations of copies and more than one photocopy machine will involve severely limit the conclusiveness of the source resultant's opinion. Sabi po dito daw po, pinagkukumpara yung dalawang photocopies para malaman po kung galing po ito sa isang photocopy machine. Evidence submission: because of a usually large physical size of many photocopies, impractical to transport the machine to the laboratory. When the case submitter can simply run sheets of plain paper, the photocopier submit those to the laboratory. It should noted that the photosensitive drum of some machine may copy or more sheets of paper before it has made a complete revolution. This reason, it is advisable to run at least 10 sheets of paper through a suspect machine. This specimen should be kept in order the machine produced them. Dito naman, dahil daw po malaki ang photocopy machine, mahirap daw po itong dalhin sa laboratory, kaya po gumagawa na naman po sila ng photocopy. Photocopy forgery. when the document examiner undertakes the examination of photocopy and pursues as the genuineness of the original signature by a photocopy, this examination must necessarily include significant thought as the possibility that a genuine signature be fixed to a fraudulent document and the composite or paste up. This may result is what would appear to be a photocopy of an original document bearing genuine. The same may be true of any other portion of a photocopy limited just the signature. Photocopy can be prepared from a composite of parts of two or document which, when copied, can appear to be a reproductica. The document, the resultant copy made from composites may display those characteristics indicative of its production document sources. Indication of sporiousness may take the form of misaligned different fonts and different font preprinted incorrect vertical, horizontal, and margin spacing, shadowing areas. This proportionate area different preprinted made by the paste up too closely trimmed or by an opaque and ink densities and missing portion of writing or printing on a photocopier examination. Surrounding the signature additionally may be that the trash marks describe the lesser quantity than those on the reminders of document. This is especially true if the citer model, signature, or document to be used be a fraudulent photocopy. When original document page up was itself a photocopy, the best indication of what disappeared has misplaced. Even when none of this present, the prudent document examiner that issues an opinion about the authenticity of the signature or entire dispute document, the submitted evidence is a photocopy, will qualify that the opinion is form of statement that the opinion is predicated. Upon questioned document being a true and accurate reproduction of the original document, many examiners go further by including a statement in the report of findings that founds the accuracy of opinion involving photocopies upon viewing the original document. Prior to any testimony, understandably, there are many document examiners or laboratories that will refuse submission and examination of dispute documents that are not original. While this posture is certainly may not serve the best interest of each day our society further immense the machine-copied documents. The contemporaneous photocopy machine capable of producing sharp copies that may rival photography. Some of the more modern facsimile machines have the capability to transmit sharp image that rival the photocopy only a few years ago. Obviously, display prohibitively for quality be examination, but those disqualifying adequate quality are deserving some degree of qualified opinion. Examination of photocopies. Disinformation sheets is designed to aid understanding capabilities of the forensic document examiner with regards to examination involving photocopies. It divided into two parts. First, address to the limitation photocopies insofar the examination of document problems. Second, discuss the identifiability photocopies themselves. Nahahati daw po ito sa dalawang parte. Yung una daw po ay sa limitations tsaka po sa mga problems ng documents. Second po ay yung pagkakakilanlan tsaka po yung mismong photo.
Examination of problems from photocopies. While it is possible to make examination and on problems of handwriting signatures, typewriting, and other such matters from photocopy reproduction rather than original documents, most cases the original is preferable for a variety of reasons. Most reports, verbal or written, based on studies utilizing copies are rendered qualified, as certain evidence may be difficult or impossible to observe from examination of question or disputed material must be made. Clearest reproduction be made available for such examination. The dearest copies are generally those which were made directly from the original. Copies or multi-generation copies are increasingly less desirable as the number of generation increase, as reproduction from microfilm or microfiche tend to be of lesser quality than standard photocopies. Oftentimes, it is advantageous to arrange for examination of the original microfilm, a viewing device depending on the quality of the original microfilm. Such examination device, depending on the quality of the original microfilm, such examination and often allow observation of evidence which might not be seen from microfilm reproduction. Signature and other handwriting identification problems examined from photocopies allow examination of individual letters, forms connection between letters and general appearance in many cases, but limit the ability of the forensic document examiner to observe evidence such as speed of execution, life of the writing instrument, poses of the writing instrument, and other important evidence. In addition, and with special regard to problems involving signatures, the which an individual copy reproduce original, genuine writing from document onto using the photocopier is always a consideration. It is possible to make such transfer with little or no which a fraudulent preparation. Typewriting examined from photocopies will in many greatly hindered. It is normally possible to identify the end model of machine from copy in cases that allow a machine to be identified from a photocopy. As however, this is not always and is often dependent on the quality of the copy submitted. Other document problems are often hindered when examination from photocopies rather than the original documents. For instance, and alteration are often impossible to observe and record from copy. Examination and identification of photocopies. The examination of photocopies has become an important particular manufacturer and model of photocopier from the forensic document examiner's role. It is often possible to reproduction made from that machine. More often and more in many problems of the identification of individual machine is possible. Identification of photocopiers with regard to manufacturer dependent upon the observation of various evidence appearing of which is characteristic particular model or manufacturer. The identification of an individual machine is made possible the observation of defects which are reproduced on the resulting. The most common of these defects are called trash marks and more often the result of dust and dirt particles. These particles are as black specks on and can enable identification of one with another if the size, shape, and groupings of these marks comparable between the two copies can also be result of particular machine. The period of time what particular copy was produced can also be identified in many cases. Specimens made from the same machine around the same time can be obtained for comparison. Due to that, many defects are temporary, such as dust or dirt which is cleaned up of periodically defect. Configuration can help to establish time reproduction. Finally, it is possible to create a fraudulent document utilizing and photocopies often and evidence of such preparation can be observed copies. The pasting a genuine signature from another document, a document which appeared in and then photocopying paste up sometimes from the resulting copy. Question photocopies. One of the common questions from the field involves of document spent investigator typically has need the writer of signature on the copy can identify the question posed by the investigator is do you examine photocopies or do I have to get the original? Contrary to popular belief, the laboratory will examine photocopier and handwritten entries will examine anything you send probability of getting the answer which answer you want is dependent upon quality of the document. Photocopy you send in her for examination copy, however it was produced, is as good as the original. The oath of the examiner to render a definite opinion is significantly reduced, detail inherent in copying. There is another important limitation of photocopies that is often not considered by the investigator. This is inability of the examiner to prove the original the signature was actually on the original of the ever existed. To reflect this, the laboratory referred language such as Smith wrote the original of the question from on Exhibit 1. This language intentionally avoid any attempts to authenticate the document itself. The qualified laboratory opinions are the result of the rapid avoids improvements in office machine technology. For example, is possible onto in a signature which appears on a related document. Person to create a document electronically and authenticate by this electronic document can be printed on a laser printer. Use the same imaging technology as a photocopy machine. Even some of the characteristics that would distinguish a laser printer from the common office are limited by the new generation of automatic editing features or by a certain amount of skill with scissors. Similar results can be obtained using copy machine with automatic editing features or by certain amount of skill with scissors, typewriter, and desktop copy machine as created. Sinasabi dito na the widespread use of photocopiers is made it necessary for document examiners to find some method of the linking question documents to an individual photocopier. The examination of photocopied documents for the determination of their nature and source includes physical and chemical analysis of the photocopies. The physical analysis includes examination of toner type, toner fusion, the splattering effect of toner and defect marks on black photocopy samples. In the present study, photocopied samples from 62 photocopiers were examined for their physical characteristic under a stereo microscope and were classified into 52 groups. So the examination on the basis of physical characteristic proved to be very significant and useful as they help to achieve the aforementioned aim. Documents photocopied on photocopiers and multipurpose machine may contain elements likely to identify the source of the original document or the specific machine if one has been identified. However, as for identifying the manufacturer and or model, that has always been a most difficult task, infrequently accomplished even when photocopying equipment was still pretty machines were available for public consumption.
The bottom line is don't send a lab photocopy is the original mail able of photocopy is all you can get, send the best one available. The original is in the hands of some agency which will not release it. Obtain certified photocopies. This will bolster the document court even if it will not help in the laboratory examination. Also try good close-up photographs of any question handwriting in tries along with the photocopy. Good close-up photographs especially are usually better than the best photocopy. It is even better if a color photocopy is question document can be obtained. If you have original copy of any document, it would be better keep it and send the clearer and best one available. The original copy serves strong evidence and most agencies keep it. When the question possible alteration of a document prior to the production, the copy attempt to get the original or any copy of the form, the suspect document, the positive determination of alteration is much more likely if the examiner another version of the document. To compare with the suspect copy, might be found the suspect document is a true and the by belief the by alteration technology is rapidly changing. Do not hesitate to call the with question concerning the possible value of technical of machine produced documents. If the document questioned because of the possible alteration prior to production, the said copy will honor rather than the suspect copy. If the situation happened, don't have to call authority regarding for your concerns. Photocopies can sometimes be identified with the machine. Then, if the exemplars and question copies are contemporaneous, the possible make and model of the photo machine can sometimes be determined by comparison with the file. Procedures obtaining known photocopy exemplars. Obtain the list 10 exemplars with no document on the glass plate with the cover down. Obtain at least 10 exemplars with no documents on the plate with the cover down plate with the cover up. Obtain list 10 exemplars with a document plate with the cover down. Record exemplar, the date the exemplars were obtained, name of the person who directed the exemplars and conditions under which the exemplars were made. Record the make, model, and serial number of photocopy machine, information about the toner supplies and components, whether the paper supply is sheet or roll pen, and options such as color reduction, enlargement, zoom, mask, trim, or edit board. Do not store shin photocopies in plastic envelopes. Photocopiers and glass printers. Photocopiers and use the same type of process to the print of page. Photocopier, the original document is placed, the glass the flatten, then exposed by use reflected light to a drum discovered with a photosensitive material. The image of the exist drum as an invisible positive photoelectric negative charge toner. The messy black powder onto the drum where it sticks on positively. Remember, magnets opposite charge attract same charge repel to create visible image. Paper with a positive charge passes the drum, causing the negatively charged toner to transfer to the paper. The toner then heat seal the paper, creating the printed copy with a laser printer. The image, the original document shelved by the computer, its memory, the photosynthesis drum by using of a laser. Yang photocopier. Ang photocopier ay isang electronic machine na gumagawa ng kopya ng imahe at dokumento. A photocopier is an electronic machine that makes copies of image and documents. Photocopiers were one single function detect devices now enterprise their great photocopiers. Laser printer. Ang laser printer isang digital na print proseso ito ay gumagawa ng mataas na kalidad na teksto at graphics sa mamagitan ng paulit-ulit na pagbasa ng isang laser beam sa likod at pagbalik sa higit ng isang negatibong sisingil sa cylinder ay tinatawag na isang drum. There are ways to match page to go back a laser printer since, as shown above, the process is similar the methods used to the match to its origin. Printer or coupler will also be similar. The paper is self-gelled. Many close look for marks. The belts, pinchers, rollers, and physically move the paper through a machine. Examinations would be similar to examination discussed page. Toner can have unique characteristics. Its chemical composition also look how to tone was placed on the fuse to the paper. Toner may clamp on the drum, transferring blobs toner to the printed page. Marks on the optics, glass, platen, lenses, mirror used to transfer an image on paper might contain unique defects such as that will render anomalous marking on the printed page.